Section 8 is the last and final section of our purchase contract, additional terms and conditions. Now, in Arizona, Article 26 of our Arizona Constitution allows realtors to actually be attorneys for the contract. So when we don't need attorneys like some states on the East Coast, they involve a lawyer to finish off the paperwork and actually execute the contracts. Here, we don't do that. It's just the realtor and the title company. So as a realtor, we have to be very careful about what we write here. Unfortunately, they gave us a lot of lines, and so some people feel the need to fill them in. It's actually best if we just use as few as possible. Basically, we'll write something here. Seller is related to selling agent, or what I always put is seller to deposit earnest money within 2 business days of contract acceptance. Normally, the earnest money has to go in fairly quickly, like immediately, and sometimes it just doesn't work really well. So I just like to give a 2 business day buffer in there. I've never had a challenge with that. Most agents will put that in there, so it's not an unusual thing. So again, you have all these lines to write things. Ideally, you don't want to use them, so we try and keep those empty. Risk of loss. Fortunately, this doesn't really come up all that often. This is basically saying if something were to happen to the property, like fire, and more than 10% of the cost of the property or what it's under contract for. So if you're a $500,000 contract, more than $50,000 worth of damage was done, the seller doesn't have to sell the property any longer. I'm fortunate that has never come up in my career. So permission, buyer and seller are able to give this information to the public. Just this is about Arizona law. Time is of the essence. This contract is calendar days, not business days. Holidays count. Every day counts. Your birthday counts. It is 10 days. It is 5 days. It doesn't mean it's business days. It is calendar days. So that's important. And the day ends at 11:59 p.m. This is just other extra things, copies and counterparts, just meaning that sometimes contract can be signed here by one person and here by another person, the same contract, just not on the same papers, and that's okay. Certain documents cannot be countersigned. Calculating time periods, we just chatted a little bit about that. If one little part of the contract is wrong, it doesn't mean the whole contract is wrong. It means that one little part may be wrong. There's just lots of little things in here that we would go over. Again, most of this stuff is basically more administrative, I guess you would say. And then this part again in bold now instead of so much in capital letters. Buyer and seller hereby express and hold harmless the brokers of this transaction all liability regarding the financing, the condition, the square footage. Again, that's basically just protecting the agent from, we have given you the resources to find out all the information. Sometimes we seem like pains in the butts because you're like, oh, how much is the homeowners association? And I will say, why don't you give them a buzz and ask that question? Or can I do this with in this property? Can I add a garage or an RV garage? All those things we ask the buyers or sellers to do themselves, only because if we find out information and it's wrong the way we relay it to you, or someone gave us bad information, we want to make sure that we don't have that liability, and we want to make sure you're getting the right information you need, because maybe you would ask a different question or ask it in a different way that solicits a different answer. So getting the answers you need as the client. Term of acceptance. So when we submit an offer, we give them a period of time. Normally it's like 24 hours to respond to it. If for some reason that time goes long, like maybe someone was flying somewhere and they didn't have the time to respond, it's okay. We could just correct that in an addendum if you are, as a buyer, still want to accept this contract. But you don't have to any longer. You're no longer under the terms and conditions of it. Then everybody just signs. This is always the real estate information. Buyer's client, agent, seller's agent, and where everybody signs. I hope you have learned something from that. And of course, if there is anything that I left out or that you want more information on, always please feel free to reach out and happy to share more with you.